We have the information, we have the purpose and the mission, but then so what? So how are we better because of it? What have we learned as we've walked the walk and gone down our paths in life? What have we learned in our journey to make the world a better place? My desire is that we continue to elevate the impact and we continue to discuss with people how we are making the world a better place and learning and becoming wiser together. Welcome to the I Am Wiser podcast, where the biggest questions in healthcare and wellness meet the collective wisdom of industry leaders and innovators. I'm Dr. Laura Purdy, and here we explore the intersections of AI, care delivery, telehealth policy, and more through the lens of those who are reshaping healthcare. This is not just about theory, it's about lived experience and real industry insights. Let's dive in and get wiser together. A lot of my friends and family have asked me, who's your podcast for and who's going to be on it? The I Am Wiser podcast is designed to be for people who are in business or run a business or are thinking about running a business. That's a big one. And they're looking for someone to help them, assist them, advise them, give them wisdom, or maybe they just want to put some press and media behind the fact that they have a really cool, fun project that they're working on. It's meant to inspire. It's meant to impart wisdom upon you that maybe you don't have to learn the hard way. And it's meant to be a place for stimulating conversation that people who are in, especially the healthcare industry or the digital health tech startup industry, it's a place where we can discuss ideas, discuss wisdom, and grow wiser together. The ideal guest for the podcast would be someone either in the healthcare industry or adjacent to the healthcare industry, maybe clinical informatics or either dentistry, physical therapy. It doesn't have to be doctors and nurses, but someone in the, I like to call it innovative care industry. So we're doing something to further the field, to push technology forward, to drive innovation, change, and impact, and leave the world a better place than we found it. But even that's not enough. Of course, I want to know who they are, what they're doing, and why they're doing it. But I also want to know the larger impact that they are leaving in the world as a secondary level, like the higher impact of the project they're working on. So it's a lot of fun, and I feel like I get wiser every episode. My hope is that the I Am Wiser podcast is a little bit different than anything anybody has ever seen before. And the reason why is because I feel like when I listen to other podcasts, I hear a lot of knowledge. I hear a lot of things about a lot of things. And you can gain a lot of information. You can learn about systems, you can learn about people, you can learn about progress, innovation, technology, and it's all right here. And then I want to take it one step farther. And a lot of people have learned over the last 10 to 15 years to talk about their why, which is a beautiful thing, right? So we talk about what, we talk about why, the mission, the value, and that's great. But I want to take it to the next level. We have the information, we have the purpose and the mission, but then so what? So how are we better because of it? What have we learned as we've walked the walk and gone down our paths in life? What have we learned in our journey to make the world a better place? So my desire is that we continue to elevate the impact and we continue to discuss with people how we are making the world a better place and learning and becoming wiser together. Well, I've learned quite a few things, actually, starting my own podcast. I think the first thing I've learned is always give yourself more time than you planned for. Things happen. Either buildings don't open or DoorDash is late or cameras don't work or guests don't show up. You just never know what's going to happen when you're trying to do a podcast, which is the same thing as a live performance. It's a live performance in real time. Things happen. So give yourself more time than you think you're going to need. Number two, I have learned that I don't know everything. I am an expert in the field that I'm in the niche that I'm in. But the more people that I talk to from different industries or corners of the same sandbox that I play in, my worldview has continued to expand larger and larger and larger. And truly, I feel like I am wiser with every episode, to use the name of the thing. And the third way that it has changed me is it has changed the way that I look at communicating with people and the world. A podcast is a really interesting way of communicating with people. Yes, it is a two-way dialogue, and it's I speak and you speak, or I question and you answer. But I think it's so much more than just an interview. And it can be tempting to look at a piece of paper with a bunch of interview questions on it, but I think it's more stimulating and more authentic to have a real conversation and allow the conversation to lead you as opposed to you or me leading the conversation. Let me tell you the story of my craziest podcast day ever. And by the way, I'm not going to tell you which episode it was, but we made it work. But imagine, so I live in Miami. I'm trying to get from one side of town to the other side of town, which is only 5 miles away, but takes 45 minutes. If you've been to Miami, you know it can't handle its traffic. So I'm already 15 minutes late for what was a 2-hour hair and makeup window, which when you're 40 years old, it takes way more than 2 hours to get this face ready. So I'm 15 minutes late for a pretty short hair and makeup window, traffic. And all of a sudden I realized that it was a very bad idea for me to plan on being the person to set up my own technology. I have no idea how to log into the recording thing. I have no idea how to set up headphones. And I guess I didn't realize that they were supposed to go on my head. The headphones are supposed to go on your head. And so there's no way I'm going to do that. I didn't know how to set up the camera, didn't know how to set up the microphone. The microphone didn't have a stand. And so that was a disaster. So our first guest, we took so long getting set up, they actually had to cancel, and that's okay. We rescheduled later anyways. Thank you for your patience with me. And then I didn't realize once we got started how hot it is under the stage lights. So you can't see it, but there's giant lights here in my face. And so I started sweating, which I am generally not that sweaty of a person, but I started sweating so heavily that I can see on my face in the camera, the sweat dripping down my face. So I actually reached up at one point in time and just did this because I was trying to get it off my face. So I guess that's a clue to the episode. If you notice that, you'll see the sweat. So it was very interesting. I was a sweaty, late guest, prolonging mess, but the show must go on. So I guess the piece of wisdom I learned that day is that nothing is going to go 100% right all the time. And we have to have grace for ourselves, and we have to have contingency plans, and we have to have those little oil blotter pads to get the sweat off your face in between segments. I started planning the idea for this podcast about 1.5 years ago. And a lot of people have asked me in the planning process, why are you making a podcast? What are you hoping to do? What's your goal? Who's your audience? And I will be honest with you, if I never get one patient, if I never get one business client, and if nothing ever produces 1 cent of income, the real purpose of this podcast is so that my children and my grandchildren and all of the people in my friends and family will have access to the wisdom, experience, and knowledge that I have lived through. For those of you who know me, you know that in 2008, we lost my dad. And he was one of the single biggest influences in my life. I learned so much from him in the short amount of time that we got to be together. And there have been countless times in my adult life, in my professional life, where I've thought, man, I wish I could ask my dad what to do. I wish I could get his wisdom. I wish I could say, what would you do here? Or will you please take over my HR for me? Or something like that. And I don't want my children to have to be in that position where they need me and I'm not there. So this podcast is for my kids. And that's what I told them on the very first day. They said, Mom, Eleanor said, Mom, why are you making a podcast? And I said, I am making it for you. You're welcome. But at the end of the day, that's the real reason why. Thank you for tuning in to the I Am Wiser podcast, where each episode brings us closer to a wiser, more human approach to healthcare. If today's conversation inspired you or sparked new ideas, share it with someone who's ready to rethink healthcare. And if you have a story or innovation that could light the way for others, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. This space is yours too. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite platform. Until next time, stay curious, stay courageous, and stay wiser.